Hi, dear Lisa. I hit the button. I think we are on the air.
All right. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for agreeing to this.
Of
Well,
course.
first, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to record saying thank you for all the help you gave me. The
It
story.
was my pleasure, really. You were an absolute joy to work with. I love brainstorming with you, just talking not just about writing, but about life in general. Honestly, hearing you talk, hearing your passion for so many different things was really inspiring and motivating to me as well. So I feel like it was a really um, mutually beneficial partnership we had.
Thank you very much. Yes, and I'm so happy you helped me birth the story, and it really wouldn't be in writing without you. It wouldn't, and I'm so glad it's out. It's an interesting process that I went through. It's so interesting to feel a story inside of me and not have the words for it. Usually I can express what what I feel, and I was, can you say, struck dumb, like almost like I could sense the story, I could see it, which is unusual, and I didn't have words for it. And it was a combination of not being used to that genre and also being scared. And it was really wonderful how you helped me have the courage to have a shitty first draft. And we both know that a first draft's job description is to be shitty, pardon my French. And how you really helped me. Well, it's incredible the notes you gave me, and thank you, thank you.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty common writing obstacle that I come
Mm-hmm,
across with other clients as well.
mm-hmm,
Perfectionism really is just an ugly beast
mm-hmm,
for I think every artist, but especially writers,
mm-hmm.
um, because everyone I don't know. Sometimes when you start writing, you have this feeling that, the first draft, it's a like an invisible feeling. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think consciously everyone knows that,
Mm-hmm.
the first draft is just the beginning, but subconsciously they want it to be like a one and done, They want to write that first draft and it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me there was also an old fear, like of not being good enough and getting proof that I will never amount to anything. And that was there in spite of me not being ambitious about the story. It was just that the story was for me, not, even though I put it on my blog, it's not meant for publication. It was like a story that asked to be written, which was a strange experience because I thought it would never happen to me, and it hasn't happened again. It might, but and so it was like there was fear that my reason said is stupid, like this is just for you and Lisa is trustworthy, so it's totally okay. But there was this real huge fear to fail and to be this almost this shame.
Mhm.
And that was an interesting process to feel that shame. And so it was very good to be in such safe hands with you. But I think, like I have discovered, like Sark taught us this type of writing for us, like this, cleansing writing and the, dealing with inner critics and all these different writing types of writing she helped us do. And I think those are great. And in a way, they also work for story. But even though my mind knew that, I somehow couldn't get into it. And once the first draft was there, everything was okay. Then it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I tell a lot of people too. It's the work of getting those initial words down and the first
Mm-hmm.
draft that is the hardest.
Mm.
Um, and it's the same for us editors too,
Mm-hmm.
because we cannot edit a blank page.
Exactly.
You can edit a page that's full of words. It doesn't even matter if those are not full sentences or they're
Mm-hmm.
just like snippets of a thought, we can edit from that.
Mm.
So that's why I always tell people, just get the words down. But it
Mm-hmm.
is really interesting that you mentioned that feeling of shame,
Mm-hmm.
that
And
this story was just for you and, um, doesn't have to be published at all. But
mm-hmm.
honestly, I think that the best stories come from exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because, there's a popular saying that says, number one, write for yourself. Number two, edit for others. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that is really powerful, and I wish every writer had that like put up on their wall as they're
Mm-hmm.
drafting. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
if you're not writing for yourself first, your story is not going to be as authentic and true and as passionate as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I would like to get more into it with you. I've always thought it took a long time to acknowledge that I am a writer because I just write expository prose, you know?
Mm.
And and so it was scary to have this excursion into a different genre. Um, yeah, and it was interesting how the story so much wanted to be written, as I said before. Yeah, and it was interesting, when you gave me the notes, they made so much sense. And then again, I almost felt like, oh, why didn't I think of that, instead of simply celebrating that you gave the notes to me. And also, I felt then guilty about um, accepting them. That was also strange, because I thought, well, then it's if I can't do it on my own, it's not my story. And I learned through you that this is totally okay. And it was so interesting how the process of playing with you with the story, of getting the notes, was so deeply enjoyable. But then I had to fight through this guilt. It's weird, isn't it? Just, but I thought it was interesting to share because other people might experience this, and it feels good to have this happy ending to it.
Yeah. I think one important thing, and this is kind of what I've built my editing business on, I guess is what my mantra is, that editing is collaboration first and
Mm,
foremost.
mm-hmm,
When I say this, I usually come from the idea that a lot of people kind of view the editing process as like a fight between the
mm,
author and the editor. Um,
mm,
that the editor is always trying to, change something, um, take away the author's voice. And so that's why a lot of people are hesitant to go use editors because they're like, I want this story to stay mine. But a good editor, a great editor, is always there to enhance and elevate the story. Yes, there will be changes made, but those changes are to make the story stronger. They're not
mm-hmm.
just making changes for the sake of making changes.
Oh, yes. I mean, I can attest to that. I mean, I felt like there was the story is the baby and it wanted to be born, and you were the doula, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and maybe we were, I don't know. Yeah, probably that's a good analogy for me. And um, yeah, I really needed the help. I needed that, and I'm not usually ashamed of accepting help, but in this case, I felt it was a process to learn that it's still okay and that I'm not cheating. I felt like cheating. I think I felt like if I put my name to the story, it's cheating. I'm lying. That's almost what it felt like. And it was an interesting process to, yeah. And to have this weird thing going on where I felt so joyful about working with you. It was so fun. I loved reading your ideas, and it made me more creative. It gave me new ideas. So I loved that process.
Yeah, that again, that is exactly the collaborative process of an
Hmm.
editor and author because everything that I suggested, all the line changes, the plot changes that, or the plot suggestions that I came up with, those all stemmed from your initial creativity. I would not have been able to come up with those had I just been staring at a blank page.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's something you can tell yourself when you're dealing with these feelings of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I said came as a result of what you already had put down on the page.
And then it inspired me again. So it was this dance. It wasn't a fight.
Exactly.
It was a dance. It was a
Yes.
creative dance and it was a lot of fun. And I can highly recommend working with you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
another really important thing, and this is what SARC has taught both of us, is that, creativity should be fun. I
Mm,
mean,
it is.
as writers, and you can attest to this, having already written a book, well, two books now, uh, is that when we get, bogged down in the process, all that creativity gets kind of sucked out of us. It really starts to feel like a job, more
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
fun. So
Mm-hmm.
we always have to bring ourselves back to that initial starting point
To
where
the
you were excited about it.
yes, to the joy. I mean, for me
Yeah.
at least, joy really is my compass. And when I lose connection with it, then I need to do something to free the flow again. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ukulele, for example.
Yes. Yes, and actually being silly, and I'm looking I would love to ask you two things before you share the writing tip with us, but if that's okay, I would love to know when you knew that you wanted to be a writer and how you went about it and how the editing, how you decided to become an editor. If you want to share that, I'm just curious about it.
Sure, I'll try and keep it short. Um, so in terms of wanting to be a writer, that came on very early. Um, my parents, my parents, had the habit of reading to us, my brothers and I, every night, whatever books we chose. And I just remember, I can't remember exactly what age I was, but I want to say I was like maybe 5 or something. And I could not get enough of books. Um, just being read to every night is like my favorite part of the day.
Hmm.
And at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read on my own because I can't just have 1 hour of my mom reading to me. That's too little.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I think the minute I picked up a book and I started to read, I was reading a book that was too advanced for me. But the process of trying to figure out the meanings of words and then putting together this whole like fantastical picture of the plot that the author was creating, I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do.
Hmm.
Uh, and I want to give kids this feeling that I'm having, that I'm being
Mm.
transported, that there are so many other worlds out there, that everything is so much bigger than what I'm experiencing.
Hmm.
Um, so I remember thinking that very clearly at a very young age. Now, not to be depressing or all,
Hmm.
but I I unfortunately squashed that side of myself for a very long time
Ah.
because I grew up in a place and kind of in a culture where creativity and the arts um, took second place to a lot of other professions. And I very much felt like an outcast kind of within my family because
Mm.
everyone else there, um, and all my friends and my friends' families, they all worked in very certain professions.
Hmm.
Uh, and I did not fit in.
Mm.
But I felt like I should fit in. This is kind
Ah.
of, these are all
Ah.
my inner critics coming out.
Yes.
And I thought for a long time that if I just worked really hard in these subjects
Mm.
that I was not good at, that I could force myself to fit in.
Hmm.
And I did that pretty much up from when I was a child all the way into college.
Oh
And it was
gosh.
really in college. Oh, but I will say during those whole years, I kept writing. Like I kept journals, I kept diaries. I wrote fan fiction for books. If I was
Mm-hmm.
not happy with the ending,
Mm-hmm.
I would like rewrite the ending
Oh,
fan
cool.
fiction. I actually still have those documents like on my computer. Um, and it's very embarrassing to look back and just see like the type of writing that I had because it was very much like basic kind of fifth grade, sixth grade writing. But it's good to see where I started.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was really in college when I started to see other students pursue the arts and
Mm-hmm.
writing. And I thought, maybe I should take a chance on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be a math major and I don't have to go into biology or whatever, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I went through college, hoping to become a journalist. And
Mm-hmm.
I took a bunch of journalism, communication, English classes. And upon graduating, I did go into journalism. I worked for a couple magazines in the Bay Area, but after a couple years, it felt like my writing was getting really stilted because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of had been pigeonholed into writing just about like a specific topic. It was
Mm-hmm.
about like new restaurants coming to the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was writing the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I wasn't growing as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic hit. Um, and I thought, this is a sign that I need to like turn things around
Mm-hmm.
or really just get serious about what I want to do. And I thought back to books,
Mm-hmm.
the probably like the first thing I ever loved in life.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I didn't know how to start.
Mm-hmm.
I had zero connections in the publishing industry.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I just started to I went on Goodreads,
Mm-hmm.
that platform,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, look, I'm here and I'm gonna offer like free beta reads. I'll read your manuscript and I'll give you suggestions and please give me a testimonial like
Mm-hmm.
that. I just went into it.
Wow,
Um,
cool.
I don't know if it was brave or if it was stupid,
That was
probably,
brave and cool. What a
but
good idea. Yeah.
thank you. I so that somehow worked. I had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people come to me. I started reading a bunch of manuscripts, g- writing up like really rough reports,
Mm-hmm.
just based on my years of reading, just saying
Mm-hmm.
like, this doesn't work. I hated this character because XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the plot would be stronger if you did this.
Mm-hmm.
And people were really resonating with what I was saying. And
Mm-hmm.
that um, gave me a lot of motivation to be like, maybe I can take this seriously. Maybe I can get some like formal training.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing some more research on the industry. I learned that internships were a way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I started applying to literary agencies, editorial internships, and I got one at Art House. It's now
Mm-hmm.
defunct, but that's where I got trained professionally in developmental editing, line editing, copy
Mm-hmm.
editing.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I learned how to write book proposals for nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I learned how to ghostwrite.
Oh, wow.
So I still have connections with those who worked at the agency, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just really gone from there.
Wow. Wow, cool. And well, I mean, I feel a bit stupid saying this, but I didn't know that you could teach ghostwriting. I thought it was just someone would be a good writer and then do it, you know?
I guess ghostwriting, yeah, so the lead agent at the agency, she was getting into ghostwriting at that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had expressed some interest in kind of like, working beside her on those projects. So I was kind of working as like an assistant ghostwriter,
Mm-hmm.
kind of just learning the process, because ghostwriting is so intense.
I
You
bet.
have to meet like
Uh,
with
uh,
the author. on a
Mm-hmm.
weekly basis. You're
Mm-hmm.
interviewing them for hours, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're distilling those hours of conversation into like five, 5 to 10,000 word chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just knowing what to put in, what to keep out, what to flesh out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's just so many moving pieces. And I
Yeah.
was really privileged to be able to kind of work under her and
Mm-hmm.
see how she handled all of that and then kind of, curate my own process from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what I say by learning how to ghostwrite.
Yeah. It seems to me that translation and ghostwriting both are so much harder than, in some ways, than writing yourself because it's almost, well, it's all the hard work of writing, but it's not, you don't get to be as creative as you could be with your own stuff. And sometimes, like with translation, I've encountered the problem that you think it's actually crap. And then you have to put that into good language. And sometimes it doesn't want to be put into good language.
Mm,
And or you discover a logical mistake, and then I wonder, well, should I fix the mistake or, but then it's really not authentic or, I mean,
right.
all these, and I did it when I was much younger. So now I would just call up the person and say, look, this doesn't make sense to me. Do you want me to fix it or do you want me to keep it bad in my eyes, But
Mhm.
I felt really helpless. Yeah, so wow, that seems like really hard work.
It is, yeah. I mean, I've
Mhm.
never done translation, but I can imagine the issues that you encounter and the
Yeah.
fight you have within yourself as to how to go about resolving it.
I'm,
Definitely the
I'm,
same.
I won't, I mean, I would starve if I had to translate.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the same in ghostwriting, because there's a very fine line of, um, I mean, putting the words down, but still trying to sound like the author, you
Hmm.
know? That's
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
whole basis of ghostwriting. You're taking their story and you're writing in their
In
voice.
their
And it's really
voice.
hard to balance
Yeah.
your writing voice, but then their actual voice with it.
I think oh wow, I'm amazed that it can be done.
It can
Yeah,
be done, yeah, but
yeah,
it's a really
it's hard work.
intense,
Hmm.
but ultimately rewarding experience. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh wow.
But I mean, so is editing. Developmental editing is by far my favorite type. And again, it's because of that collaboration that I get to do with the authors.
Hmm. Hmm.
I always tell them, like, look, we are equal partners in this.
Hmm.
I mean, you more so because your name is going on the book. But everything I say, and I always have to highlight that everything I say is a suggestion.
Hmm.
It is backed by professional experience, but not every suggestion I give is going to work for your book.
Hmm. Hmm.
I tell them that I'm trying to illuminate like a roadmap for your
Hmm.
book as it
Hmm.
goes through the revisions. And you can think of everything I say as kind of like a lamppost,
Hmm.
guiding you down um, the right path. But
Hmm.
you might take some detours that I haven't seen, or you might
Hmm.
come up with a new solution for an editorial choice. And
Hmm.
that is the beauty of the editing process. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what you and I did together.
Hmm. And that was a lot of fun for me, anyway. Yeah. And you're also writing a novel, right? Or are you done?
Oh God, I'm not done.
Right
I
in
I
the
honestly
in
have to
the.
take my own advice to
Hmm.
get my own novel done.
Hmm.
But it's a work in progress.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was actually just opened it the other day to
Hmm.
read some chapters, and the hardest thing for me is to not edit while I write. And I know
Ah.
I give this advice all the time, but it's so
Hmm.
hard to take.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I wonder, sometimes, um, you know, when I write expository stuff, I actually have a combination of splurging it on the page, editing, rewriting, and then going on, moving on, and then editing the whole thing again several times when I'm done. So I always do a little bit of editing while I write. I cannot, I cannot not do that.
Mm.
Um, I somehow need that.
I think
Mm,
as
yeah.
it is with most things in life,
Mm-hmm.
I think editing in moderation as you
Mm-hmm.
write is okay. In moderation is
In
the
moderation.
key phrase there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
because I mean, if sorry, go ahead.
You have to prevent yourself from editing the thing to pieces before you ever get to the middle.
Exactly, yes. I think when I say in moderation, I mean like, light changes to like sentence structure is okay. If you want to add in another line about description, it's fine. But try to step away from um thinking too big picture about
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Just try to get the things down first and then step back and look at the whole
Hmm.
structure together. Yeah. So I
Mm,
think you're
hmm.
absolutely right about that. A little editing is okay, but try to rein it in.
Yeah, well, probably one has to sense into it when editing becomes a way of procrastination, then, warning lights go on. But if it's a way of getting you inspired and creative, then it's a good thing. So there's no general rule, probably. You have to sense into what you're doing currently. Why am I editing this right now? Is it to
Yes.
warm myself up to move further, or is it to stay stuck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the
And
question everyone should be asking themselves when they
every
open
day,
up.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I've certainly done both.
Same here.
And it's okay. It's just good to catch yourself in. Yeah. Wow. Well, I am ready for the writing tip, unless you want to share something else. I'm really looking forward to the writing tip.
I am ready to share it. Okay, so one writing tip is to get your stories, the heart of your story down first. And the
Mm-hmm.
way you can do that is really simple. Ask yourself this one question. What am I trying to connect with my readers about? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a couple examples from some of my favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Lord of the Rings. This is probably one of the most famous trilogies ever, but Tolkien connected with readers over the belief that every person matters, you know?
Mm.
It doesn't matter how small we are. Think of the hobbits. We can still make a difference, and sometimes the smallest person can actually make the biggest difference. For me, that is the heart of what Lord of the Rings is all about.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think it's really telling that Tolkien made, the key characters, uh, the hobbits, the smallest species. Physically,
Mm-hmm.
they are the smallest. They're not the strongest, they're not warriors, they're just simple folk,
Mm-hmm.
but they go on to make some of the biggest differences in Middle-earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
um, one other example, my favorite book actually, um, is Remains of the Day. And I'm going to
Ah.
butch the author's name, but Ishiguro. He connects readers to the importance of letting ourselves truly live in Remains of the Day. Through
Mm-hmm.
Stevens, who is the main character, we
Mm-hmm.
experience this really subtle, quiet heartbreak
Mm-hmm.
of realizing too late what we've lost through restraint and through blind loyalty
Mm.
to our job, to those that we serve. Uh,
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Remains of the Day,
Not with
but
the book. I watched the movie a long, long time ago.
oh, I've actually never seen the movie. I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, we're following a butler, an English butler, and throughout the book, we learn that, being a butler has always been the most important thing in his life. And
Mm-hmm.
it has really constrained him in every other aspect of his life,
Mm-hmm.
especially his personal life and the
Mm-hmm.
relationship that he could have had with Miss Kenton.
Mm-hmm.
And he really comes to this heartbreaking realization that his job was not um, as honorable as he thought, as he believed it to be over the years because of who he was serving,
Mm-hmm.
and what that man ended up doing um, in relation to World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's the most important thing to get down for a lot of new
Mm-hmm.
writers. Because a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times they start writing a story and they're not really sure where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Plot wise, that could be okay because if you're a pantser, you just write willy-nilly. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing is to know at the core what you're trying to say with your story.
Mm-hmm.
Because every story, like no matter how complex it is, really at its core is a writer's attempt to reach out to another person and say, do you feel this too? Do
Ah,
you
uh-huh.
experience this too?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just, it's like a leap of faith, You're trying to find a
Mm-hmm.
connection with someone, with your reader. And if you just, I mean, we of course want to make connections with hundreds of people, thousands of people, but honestly, if your book just touches one person and
Mm-hmm.
changes that life, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is.
I think that's the most important thing for any new writer or even advanced writer to get down before they
Mm-hmm.
start.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Of course.
Mm. Yeah, and it works for little stories and big stories. Mm. Yeah, cool. I write that down too. And it even works. This is actually, without knowing it, that was the core idea for my grammar book. I wanted I wanted to show that grammar is not a scary monster, but um, that the patterns are beautiful and that it's liberating to understand them. That was the basic message. And that it's a joyful process to engage with it. It's interesting. Yeah, now that but I didn't know that I didn't write it down, but but that was the from the very beginning that was in me. Hmm. Oh, hang on a second. Now I can't hear you right now. Hang on. Hang on, let me pause that for a moment. Okay, now I can hear you again. And
Okay, perfect.
that's very good.
Ooh, crisis averted.
Yes, as we said before we got on the air, technology is great when it works.
When it works, yes.
Well, it can be great, not always, but it can be great.
Right,
Well,
right.
thank you very, very much for sharing all that you've shared and for sharing your writing tip.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was fabulous. And I'd love to be back and share more writing tips
I'd
or
love that. I
about
would love
whatever.
that. I would love to make that a habit if you feel like it. Uh,
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
cool. Well, thank you very, very much for this conversation and for all the help that you've given me. And I look forward to connecting again.
Of course. Thank you so much. And if you ever have questions or writing doubts, please reach out to me.
I will. I will. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
much.
Bye.
Bye.